So I just saw X-Men Dark Phoenix, and it was not very good. Pretty much everything that can be wrong with the movie is wrong with this movie, and that's not even an exaggeration. Just everything is wrong with this movie, except for the acting. The acting's actually pretty decent for the most part. They do the best with what they've given, and what they're given is just complete and utter shit. The dialogue in this movie is so bad. It made me physically cringe. It's just painful. It's painful to listen to. The editing, not very good at all. There's just scenes just end. They have no beginning or ending. They just kind of move on to the next scene. And there's some obvious ADR, obvious, and it hurts. It's so painful. When they're trying to adapt the Dark Phoenix story, right? And they just don't give it time to build. We've had, except for this one movie with this version of Jean Grey, we've had one movie with pretty much every character in this movie, except for 4. And pretty much everyone that's instrumental to this movie, we don't care about, because they've only had one movie. It's just, I don't know, it's not good. There's nothing else really to say. There's no other way to describe this movie. It's just poorly made. This is Simon Kinberg's directing debut. There are the people at Fox are right, this is the last X-Men movie we're going to get to do before Disney buys it out and we're done. Who should we give it to? Let's give it to a first-time director who's never held a camera before. That'll go just swell, I'm sure. I have nothing against Simon Kinberg. I'm sure that with enough practice and with the right script, he could have done, he could make a pretty good movie. But he also wrote the movie, so that puts a bit of a seed of doubt in my mind. The visual effects, just not very good for the most part. You can tell when they're visual effects. There were some pretty funny moments, unintentionally so, of course. There's a character that I introduced in this movie, and you're supposed to care when she dies. I don't even know what her name is. It's just funny. It's just funny, really. I actually burst out laughing. Mystique's death, and I know that's kind of a spoiler, but it's in the trailer. If you've seen this far into the video, you already know Mystique dies just by watching the background footage from the trailer. Mystique's death is actually hilarious. It was all that I could do to not burst out laughing. The lady sitting next to me, I'm just laughing thinking about it. The lady sitting next to me, she had actually turned and looked at me for a moment because I was laughing when Mystique died. Her last words are her speaking to me saying, "I love you." They have flirted for every movie, just out of nowhere. She loves him. That's actually my biggest problem with this movie. Characters are just in new character spots. At the end of Jean and Scott, they're just going out all of a sudden, and all of a sudden they're just kissing. That did not happen. I guess it's been it's just so dumb. I understand there's been 15 years between movies, but for us it's been 3. So what is it? Genosha just exists. Magneto just has Genosha now. That comes out of nowhere. Mystique just is angry at Charles for no reason. Like I said, Jean and Scott are just going out. The X-Men, this is the biggest thing. At the start of the movie, the X-Men are everyone's just okay with them. At the end of the last one, they were still hiding, right? At the end of this one, at the start of this one, I mean. They have a phone to the president who calls them to go save astronauts, and the public goes and watches it. And when they come back, there are people holding up signs saying, "We love the X-Men." When was this established? When? It makes no sense. As I said, it's been 10 years for them. I get that. For us, it's been 3. You need to show this. You can't just end up somewhere. It's not how character writing works. You have to show an arc. That'd be like if in Iron Man, we saw him get captured, and then we just saw him after he got captured from the cave, right? So we see him get captured by the terrorists, and then the next thing we see is him having escaped the cave, getting picked up, and we just hear about these developments that happened. It would be like if that happened. How bad would that be? That would have ruined the movie. And it ruins this movie, because there's no development except for, I don't like you now, Charles, you bloody did this, and this. Well, I didn't know I didn't. I'm not in the right. I'm bloody, I'm in the right, mate. So then, Beast goes and joins Magneto, and they try and kill Jean, who's being controlled by the Dabari, by the way. The aliens that had a page in the original Dark Phoenix book. They're the main villain of the movie. It's so dumb. Like, it's painfully obvious that they were supposed to be Skrulls, and then Captain Marvel happened, and the execs at Fox were like, well, shit, we don't need that anymore. Guess we'll just basically come up with our own race. Like, yeah, they exist, but they might as well not have. She killed them all. In this one, they just kind of died to the Phoenix Force. It just kind of happened, off screen, before the movie. It's just not a good movie. There's nothing redeeming about it, except for the final fight, and the only reason that's good is because it's 100% reshoots, and it was a second unit. The final fight's actually good, and Nightcrawler, like, you'd have to try pretty hard to get me to not like Nightcrawler. Like, Nightcrawler is the best X-Man, and there's no debating that in my mind. So they have to try pretty hard to get me to not like Nightcrawler. So Nightcrawler's good. The final fight is good. And pretty much everything good with Nightcrawler, or most of the good stuff with Nightcrawler, is in the final fight. So if you're planning to go see this movie, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to buy a ticket. You're then going to want to go and just do anything else for the next hour and a half and come back for the last half hour. Because that's when the movie gets good. Right after the final fight, you're just going to want to leave. You're just going to want to go away. Because the ending is so unsatisfying. It's painful. It's so dumb. So and if you do that, you'll be in the same page as everyone else, because the movie's so confusing. They don't explain anything. The Dabari are just there. People are just in new places character-wise. It's just disappointing that this franchise that's had, admittedly, some pretty shit movies, but at the same time had some fantastic movies. Logan is amazing. X2, Days of Future Past, First Class, the original X-Men, and Deadpool 2. Those are some fantastic movies. Even The Wolverine, to a lesser extent, is a really good movie. But then, this line of movies that kicked off the modern superhero boom, we have the X-Men to thank for the MCU. And it just goes out like this, and that just makes me so sad. This movie should have been so good, but the characters weren't given enough time to be developed into people we actually care about, and the plot was not given enough time to develop. So the pacing is awful, by the way. Just the score is also the score is pretty bland and forgettable, to be honest. Hans Zimmer hasn't done anything ridiculously amazing since, I don't know, The Dark Knight, really. So, I don't know, what do you expect there? This movie has a Superman problem, by the way. I'm going to get into, this is a little bit of a spoiler now. It's a little bit of a spoiler. So, Jean Grey at the end, right? So the whole team's fighting off the Dabari. And then, at the end, Jean Grey, she wakes up from her coma or whatever the hell she was in. And then just takes out this whole group of Dabari that the whole X-Men team, plus countless armed guards, couldn't take down. Most of them, everyone died except for the X-Men in that fight, right? And then Jean Grey, she just wakes up and she kills everyone by herself. Every single one of them. This movie has the Justice League Superman problem. And it might even be worse than that, because at least in Justice League, The Justice League were just by themselves, and they didn't have hundreds of armed guards helping them. Like, it's just disappointing. 2 out of 10. It's a 2 out of 10. Don't go see this movie. Just don't. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to smash that like button, then drop kick it, and then headbutt it again. If you'd like to see more, subscribe. And tell me what you thought of this video. I've never done anything like this before. This was completely unscripted. So I'd like to just quickly apologise for all the likes and all the ums and all the repeating myself. I need to get better at unscripted stuff. I'm going to work on that. And comment below if you think I should do more of these. I'll have another one out for Rocket Man. If not tomorrow, then the day after. And if neither of them work, I'll probably stop doing them, or I'll change it up a bit.